Okay, guys. So yesterday we worked on adding fractions with like denominators, and today we're going to subtract fractions with like denominators. But it's the same thing, so don't get scared. I want to do a review right now on adding fractions. So let's do one problem of adding fractions, and then we'll move on to subtracting fractions. So let's do this. First thing we're going to do is we're going to add our numerators. And if you want to do this with me, that'd probably be super smart. We're just going to add across. 6 plus 3, 9. And we're going to just drag our denominator across. We're not going to add them. We're just going to keep it the same, which is 12. Denominator stays the same. I left a big space right here. And the reason why I left a big space right here is because I might need to simplify this. And in order to do that, I'm going to need to come up with factors, and I'm going to need some space. So let's come up with factors of 9. 1, 3, 9. Those are the only factors of 9, right? Because 1 times 3 is 9. 1 times 9 is 9. And 3 times 3 is 9. Those are the only factors of 9. Let's do 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. 1 times 12 is 12. 2 times 6 is 12. And 3 times 4 is 12. And the only number on both sides is 3. So we're going to divide both of our numbers by 3. 3 divided by, keep saying 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3. My board keeps moving. And 12 divided by 3 is 4. So that's our answer. 3/4. Remember, 3/4 is the same as 9/12. We are just simplifying it to its smallest form. So that's what we did yesterday. Today, we're going to subtract fractions. So let's do this. Let's do 8 tenths minus 3 tenths. And everything is going to be the same. As far as, first we're going to take our numerators and we're going to subtract across the front, across the top. 8 minus 3 is 5. And our denominator, we're just going to drag over. We're going to keep it the same. So it's 10. So again, we might have to simplify this. Some of you can see right away what we can simplify this to. Some of us, we need to come up with factors, and that's fine. 1 and 5. This only has 2 factors. That makes this a prime number. It only has 2 factors. Hello. It only has 2 factors. Now let's do 10. 1, 2, 5, 10, right? 1 times 10 is 10, 2 times 5 is 10. The number in both columns, the biggest number in both columns is 5. Divide by 5, divide by 5. 5 divided by 5, 1. 10 divided by 5, 2. 1/2. So some of you might already you might see 5 tenths and know that is 1/2. And that's great. 5 is half of 10, 1 is half of 2. Remember, they are the same. We're just simplifying our fractions. Let's do one more example of subtraction, and then I feel like you guys got this, but let's do one more just in case. I'm going to actually erase this. And you'll have your multiple of the week in Khan Academy, and then you're just going to have a subtracting fractions quiz. And if you don't do it, you don't get to go to recess. Okay, we don't have recess, but you get it. Make sure you do it. Let's do, 5 sevenths minus 3 sevenths. Let's do that. Okay? first thing, we're going to subtract across the top. 5 minus 3 is, and I'm not, let me do this again. I don't like how far I wrote that. 5 sevenths minus 3 sevenths. Sorry. We're going to subtract across the top. 5 minus 3. 2. We're going to drag our denominator, which is 7. So we have 2 sevenths. And we might be done, we might not be done. We need to see if we can simplify this number. Alright, so let's come up with factors for 2. 1 and 2. 2 is a prime number, right? So let's do 7. 1, 7. Well, that's easy. 7 is a prime number also. I only have 2 factors. The only number that is in both of these is 1. And I can divide both of these numbers by 1, but I'm just going to get the same exact number. If I divide 2 divided by 1, that's 2. 7 divided by 1 is 7. I just have the same answer. That means that this number cannot be simplified. This is the simplest form. So sometimes you might come across an answer where you don't have to simplify it. That's the answer. And then sometimes you have to simplify it. Let's do just one more for fun because it is so much fun. 6 tenths minus 2 tenths. Okay? Let's subtract across the top. 6 minus 2. Let's drag our denominator. 10. Now let's come up with factors. 1, 2, 4. 1 times 4 is 4. 2 times 2 is 4. 1, 2, 5, 10. 1 times 10 is 10. 2 times 5 is 10. The biggest number in both columns is 2. Whoops. Divide by 2. Divide by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 4 tenths is the same as 2 fifths. So 6 tenths minus 2 tenths is 4 tenths or 2 fifths. That's it. You're just subtracting fractions. Same thing we've been doing the last 2 days, except subtracting instead of adding. Good luck. Okay guys, so for writing today, we're going to keep going. I wish I did this yesterday, but I didn't think about it until today, and that's okay. Yesterday we thought about our hook. We did the very beginning of the story to grab our reader's attention, get them interested in the story, and we want them to keep reading. And that's where we introduced our story. Now we're going to do the rising action. So I'm going to write this here. So I know we've already written the beginning, middle, and end of our story, but now we're going to make sure that we have all the necessary details and information in each part of the story. So in the rising action part of our story, it's going to come right after the hook, right? We have our hook. That's the picture of a hook. We have our hook, we're grabbing our reader's attention, and then we're going to give more information, right? So we have maybe more info about characters. Maybe they run into a conflict, run into problem, but fail, right? Maybe they come to some kind of an obstacle, but fail, and they have to do something to get out of it. This is before the climax of our story. The climax of our story will be maybe they defeated the monster, or they solved the problem, or whatever your story is. It's before the climax. So usually when we have stories, we have some kind of problem, but we don't quite solve it, or we fail, or we lose, or whatever the issue is. Maybe we're introduced to enemy. Right? We're introduced to the enemy that we're going to fight, whether that's a person, whether that's ourselves, whether that's group of people or some kind of worldly problem, whatever it is, we're introduced to it. And maybe our character is starting to change. Maybe their outlook on things is starting to kind of change. By the end of the story, maybe it'll have changed a lot. Just right now, we're just kind of getting just into the good part of the story, right? So this is what we're doing today. We're doing the rising action. So you have your hook, and now we're doing the rising action. We're maybe being introduced to more characters. We're being introduced to our enemy or the problems. We fail some kind of obstacle or problem. But remember, this is before all the meat and the good stuff of the story. And I will be online. It's really hard to do this part without our writing groups and me being right there with you. But we're just going to do the best we can, and I will be available online if you need me. All right, so we are in chapter 7 of Restart, and we are back to Shoshana. So this chapter is from Shoshana's point of view. It's from her perspective. So remember, Shoshana is the one who Chase bullied her twin brother, her best friend, and basically ran him out of school, out of town, to another school. And she hates Chase, to put it very lightly, and she dumped yogurt all over his head. And I don't know at this point if she knows he has amnesia or cares, or I don't know. But it'll be interesting to see, because remember in the last chapter, Chase was with Brendan, and Brendan invited him to the video club. And so it'll be kind of interesting if he ends up going to the video club at some point, and it'll be interesting to hear Shoshana's take on it. The question you're going to answer after reading is, do you think people can change? This is a very difficult question. This is a very adult question, and I'm really curious to see what you guys think, because we're going to start reading, and Chase lost his memory, and we can all agree the things that we've been reading, he was not a very nice guy. He was not a very good guy. But it seems like he's not that person anymore. So we kind of have to ask ourselves, can people change? And we're going to hear Shoshana's opinion on that before I hear all of your opinions on that. So chapter 7, Shoshana Weber. He did it. The crazy fool actually did it. We're gathered around the smart board in Miss DeLeo's room, watching How to Clean Your Tricycle on YouTube. I've got to hand it to Brendan. When he sets his mind on something, he follows through. Even after the entire video club told him to take a hike, and you know what? He knocked it out of the park. I've never seen anything so funny. It's a wonder he didn't get himself killed, but he's very much alive, beaming like a proud papa as he premieres his work to rave reviews from the club. Miss DeLeo, our faculty advisor, laughs until tears are streaming down her cheeks. Brendan, how could you even dream of doing such a thing? The worst part was how cold the water was, he says. But it was totally worth it. We burst into thunderous applause when the music comes to a crescendo, that means to its highest point, and the tricycle is pedaled out of the shiny bumper into the light. Brendan takes a bow, a goofy grin plastered onto his face. Credits appear on the screen. Produced by Brendan Espinoza and Chase Ambrose. Chase Ambrose. The ovation dies abruptly in the classroom. That's part of the joke, right? Mauricia Dunbar offers dubiously. Like, produced by William Shakespeare or Mickey Mouse. No, it was really him, Brandon tells us. None of you guys would help me, and he said okay. Why would you even ask him? I blurt, furious. Do you have a death wish or something? Miss DeLeo steps in. Isn't it enough that the video got made and it's fabulous? I don't have a death wish, Brandon retorts. And you know what? I'm glad I asked him, because he did an awesome job on camera too. Maybe it's from sports, but he has a really steady hand. Better than any of us, including me. We could use a guy like that. I get a stinking feeling in my gut. You didn't. Brendan nods. I invited him to join the club. We all start babbling at the same time. I'm so angry that I can't really make out much of it, but it's pretty obvious that everybody is relating to the story of some mean thing that Chase and probably Aaron and Bear did to them. There's definitely no shortage of material. The chorus of complaint goes on and on. Yeah, I get it. Brandon holds up his hands. Those guys picked on me, too, more than any of you. But the Chase Ambrose who worked on this video, Brendan goes on, is not the same person. He lost his memory when he fell off his roof this summer. Total amnesia. I know it sounds weird, but maybe he forgot what a jerk he was. Big talk from the guy who thinks riding a tricycle through a car wash is a smart thing to do, puts in Hugo. Brendan doesn't back down. Seriously, we had a great time yesterday. He was helpful, he had good ideas, he was even nice. He's different. All I can see is a red haze in front of my eyes, and through it, Joel, packing his suitcase to go away to school. So it makes sense that Shoshana is so upset. Chase tortured her brother. So amnesia or not, it makes sense that she's still very upset and mad at him. It's hard to forget the things that he did to her family. I remind Brendan, my brother would be in this room right now if it wasn't for that jerk. I don't want him here. None of us do. That's enough, Miss DeLeo cuts me off. School clubs are open to everyone. We don't pick and choose. If this boy wants to be a member, then we take him. It's as simple as that. The atmosphere in the room is supercharged. Rage from me, defiance from Brendan, firmness from the teacher, and varying degrees of protest, discontent, and unease from everyone else. It boils around us when a voice from the doorway asks, "Am I late? What did I miss?" It's him, the enemy. He enters the room, tentative but smiling, and here I am, unarmed, without my trusty tub of frozen yogurt. "Welcome," Miss DeLeo greets him. "Brendan was just showing us your new video. We're so happy you decided to join us." Chase seems hesitant. He probably picks up the disconnect between Miss DeLeo's warm welcome and the body language coming off the rest of us. Only the keep out sign is missing. When he sees me, he takes a step back, a little fearful. The fear looks good on him. At least that part of his memory works. He remembers that I'm the person who hates his guts. "How to clean your tricycle killed," Brendan assures him. And look, we already have 46 views on YouTube. I was hoping it'd be viral already, but these things take time. They call it viral because it's supposed to spread fast, like a virus, I put in sourly. "Some viruses are slower than others," Brendan replies. "So what exactly do you guys do?" Chase asks. "You know, when you're not riding tricycles through car washes." That bugs me too. For sure, that's how he sees us, a collection of nerdy wingnuts who pull off moronic stunts and call it brilliance. Brendan can be kind of a goofball, but he's also the smartest kid in school. A knuckle-dragger like Chase will never appreciate someone who's destined to accomplish something that will make the world a better place. Why would he? The simplest way to make the world a better place would be to kick out Chase Ambrose. Miss DeLeo provides the answer. "Well, some of us will be working on entries for the National Video Journalism Contest." "You mean just Shoshana," Brendan snickers. "If you could get your head out of YouTube long enough," I tell him, you'd see what a great opportunity it is. This year's guideline is to profile a senior citizen with an interesting story to tell. We should all consider it. "I don't think I know any old people," is Chase's reaction, probably because he gets his jollies by pushing them out into traffic. "We'll also be producing the school's video yearbook," the teacher goes on. "That's something you can sink your teeth into." I cringe. Bad analogy for Chase, who I always pictured as a mountain lion picking over a carcass. "What goes into a video yearbook?" Chase asks. "Student interviews mostly," Hugo jumps in. "You get so much more than the standard picture and quote." He shrinks back when he remembers who he's talking to. My brother's experience has trained us to avoid capturing Chase's attention. He can't target you if he doesn't notice you're there. Chase nods. Makes sense. Nifty way to keep score of the kids whose lives you've ruined over the year, isn't it? I add bitterly. He's thrown by that, but Miss DeLeo jumps in quickly. We'll also need content on every club and team in the school. Chase, since you play sports, I thought you'd be a natural to cover the athletic program. A hopeful buzz greets his suggestion. Interviewing the jocks is a miserable job, since they're always so uncooperative and hostile. The worst of them is usually our newest member himself, but we've still got Aaron and Bear, plus Joey, Landon, and some of the others to contend with. It's like Miss America. If the winner can't fulfill her duties, there are plenty of runners-up to take over the tiara. I'll try, says Chase, but I don't know those guys so well anymore. I mean, they know me. Well, how about that? Brendan's right. This big dummy fell on his ugly head hard enough to give himself amnesia. What other explanation could there be that he doesn't really know the juvenile code delinquents that he's partnered with in a reign of terror that covers the entire town? Could Brendan also be right that Chase has no idea what a jerk he is? No. Amnesia can wipe out the details of your past, but it can't change the kind of person you are. Maybe he doesn't remember being a bully. He might have no clue that he tortured Joel to the point where he had no choice but to leave town. But when a person like that wants to know how he feels about something and looks deep inside his black heart, it's still going to be filled with acid. I messaged my theory to Joel later that night. JW Piano Man, so they're messaging or texting. So what you're telling me is I'm in exile, and the guy who exiled me doesn't even remember doing it? Shosh 466. That's what they say. JW Piano Man. Don't know what to think about that. Shosh 466. He'll remember soon enough. Or beta and gamma rats will remind him. So that she's talking about Aaron and Bear. JW Piano Man. You seem to know a lot about Alpha Rat these days. I start to tell Joel the real headline, who the video club's newest member is. My fingers freeze over my phone screen. My brother is depressed enough. The thought of Chase forcing him away and then parachuting into his spot in the club and ruining it will only make him feel worse. No, that's not it. The slime ball didn't ruin Video Club. What really happened was even worse. Nothing. The worst person in the world came to Miss DeLeo's room and life went on. The other members didn't quit. The ceiling didn't cave in. Our equipment didn't burst into flame. Miss DeLeo didn't collapse at her desk. We can't stand that guy, but we're going to put up with him. No way am I going to tell Joel that. He's upset enough as it is. Besides, Chase Ambrose will last about 10 minutes in Video Club. As soon as Miss DeLeo actually asks him to do something, he'll be gone. So instead, I type Shosh 466. Boring school, boring town. Amnesia equals big news. JW Piano Man. Alpha Rat squeezing zits equals big news at that school. Shosh 466. He doesn't have any zits. That's a pointless thing to text Joel, but by the time that occurs to me, I've already tapped send. JW Piano Man. Hiawassee Middle School kids are such morons. Shosh 466. Melton kids any better? JW Piano Man. No. It's as if a deep chasm opens in my stomach. I don't want to make him feel worse, but it needs to be said. Shosh 466. Come on, little bro. You were miserable at home. JW Piano Man. At least there I was special. Here I'm just another second-rate piano player. I think of Chase and want to explode. Interesting. So yes, I want you to answer the question. Do you think people can change?